Hello everyone, I'm Teresa and today I'm going to talk about the Major Arcana card number 16, the Tower. Welcome back to my channel. On this video I'm going to talk about the card of the Tower, and this particular card is probably one of the most feared ones due to the negative message it can carry. I know this video is a bit late, just a bit, but I want to explain why on this video. I'll try to do an update video soon so you are updated on my messy schedule. I don't want to stray away from the theme of this video and get things all confusing, okay? So let's jump right into the number of this card, the number 16. Like I said in previous videos, we can add both numbers to reach the single digit, and that would give us 7. 7 is the number of spirituality and wisdom. It's a change that is about to happen. On the other hand, we can split the digits of 16 and see each number on its own. That way we have the 1 and the 6. The number 1, you already know it's related to new beginnings, potential, and power. But the number 6 is the number of harmony of the body, mind, spirit, a number of balance. But the image of this card is the opposite of a balanced situation, right? So can we have the spirituality of the 7 bringing us a sudden change that rocks our world in a way that we will have to restart from number 1 in order to find the balance of the 6. Let's see what else the card tells us. This is my favorite part, analyzing the card, the drawing of the card. Okay, what can we see when looking at the card? There is a really high tower built on top of a cliff. The top of the tower bears a crown. But this tower is being destroyed by lightning. And there's 2 humans jumping from the tower into the ground. There is also flames flying around, and the background is pitch black with gray clouds. So what does this all mean? There is this immediate notion of disaster striking, of being attacked and falling into despair to an unknown fate. The tower itself is a sign of power. The higher the tower, the more power one has. Remember that when we are on top of a tower, we can look down on others. We can see the landscape even from afar, and we are more aware of our surroundings. So this tower is all about power. But this particular tower has a crown, and crowns are assigned to royalty. So, in a way, this tower represents both power and authority. This crown, however, is being struck by lightning, and it's falling away from this tower. Something is making the authority and power fall down. Losing power and authority are one of the major points of this card. The fact that it is a lightning causing this destruction is a clear indication that it was a sudden destruction. So the message of this card is related to something sudden, something maybe unexpected. This whole tower can be seen as one's ego. Remember the story of Rapunzel trapped in a tower. If we start living only to fulfill our ego without caring for our inner self, without caring about the world around us, we can climb high and build a super tall tower of power. But this tower will end up keeping us prisoners, keeping us away from what really matters. We can't only feed the ego without caring for other aspects of life. And we definitely can't feed our ego by breaking some rules to feed it faster. Worth noting is also the rocky cliff where this tower was built on. It doesn't seem safe or even steady to hold the tower. This can mean that this particular tower and the power it brought was built with bad and dangerous foundations. Maybe the one holding the power and authority reached that status by cutting corners. The 2 humans falling down are fleeing from the burning fire, and given the odds, they chose to jump rather than to face the fire. We aren't given the end of their story, so we are left guessing if they make it out alive or not. But both of them are wearing blue, and blue is often a color that represents water. The color blue has come to symbolize our inner wisdom, our spirituality, and faith. People's favorite color is very often the color blue, and this can be because of its calming properties. However, these characters' inner wisdom and fate did not help them on this particular situation. They have chosen a path with a questionable outcome. Could that mean that they weren't listening to their own self? Maybe the amazement of being up high on the tower clouded their judgment. Let's look a bit better to the background. There's flames falling around, and they seem to be just part of the illustration to help make this fire and lightning more dangerous. But do they hide a few possible meanings? Firstly, look at how they are all shaped the same way. Coincidence? Maybe you are recognizing this shape but can't pinpoint why or where you have seen this. These flames are shaped like the Hebrew letter Yod, the first letter of God's name. You can see this letter present, for example, on the card Wheel of Fortune. This can help us see these flames as something divine, something that isn't created out of negativity, hate, or anger, but instead it is created out of grace, out of benevolence. Like a wake-up call that is rough, but made with good intentions. Another aspect of these flames is the number and position they appear. There's 22 flames in total, 10 on the right and 12 on the left. 22 is the number of the Major Arcana cards. But when we split them like this, we can consider the 12 flames to represent the 12 zodiac signs and the other 10 flames on the other side to represent the 10 points of the Tree of Life from the Kabbalah. And here we go back to the whole 22. There are 10 points on the Tree of Life and there are 22 paths connecting them, each path connected to a letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So all in all, these flames have many divine connections, and here it can be the call to our spiritual side. One that only focuses on the ego and the exterior appearances ends up neglecting their spirituality, their inner self. Moving on to the clouds, the thick gray clouds bring us the smell of a dark day, of thick smoke and despair. Gray is the color that mixes black and white, all colors and absence of color all in one, the balance of everything and nothing. As such, this is a color connected with wisdom and even justice. It helps bring balance and order. So these clouds, as negative as they may seem, bring exactly that idea, that balance is being restored. The black skies, however, are pitch black. And like I said on the previous card, black is the absence of all color, the darkness that brings us the feeling of sadness, of depression. Think about the color black as the dark night. The absence of light makes the nighttime a time of mystery. We don't know what lurks in the shadows. To finish up, this card doesn't have a correspondent zodiac sign, but it does have a correspondent element and planet. The element linked to this card is the element of fire, while the planet linked to this card is Mars. And if you remember, Mars is the planet linked to action, but also to aggression. Remember, Mars is the god of war. Now, what does this card mean on a reading? If you get this card upright, it is a sign of a challenging time ahead. A sudden change is about to happen, or is already happening, depending on where the card lands on the spread or the type of reading you are doing. This sudden change will be one that will knock you to the ground, but it will bring a lesson with it. It's time to look at your life and evaluate what is worth keeping and what isn't. Evaluate your attitude and your overall lifestyle. The most important keyword to keep in mind with this card is change and chaos. A catastrophe may be awaiting for you. Maybe you climbed the tower of power on your career by undermining other colleagues, and now you will be struck with the lightning of reality. Maybe the relationship you built with someone else was built with false foundations and lies. There are many scenarios where this card can be applied to, but what matters is that lightning will struck and shake you to the core. But don't lose hope. Remember that this lightning will act as a lesson and you must fall down in order to get back up. Think of this lightning that blows you away like an epiphany that will allow you to understand what is true and what is an illusion in your life. And what about the reversed meaning? Remember that by being reversed, it doesn't necessarily mean that this card gets more negative, or any card. It can be that the message of this card will come up in a softer way. Maybe this lightning won't be as damaging and you'll undergo some changes, but they won't hurt you as deeply. Or if you read reversals as having their energy fully blocked, it can mean that you are resisting change. You are refusing to let change happen, but by doing so, you are only delaying the inevitable, and you will end up suffering just the same when you allow it to happen. This change will happen whether you want it or not. This is everything for this video. It took me a while to record it, but it's finally here, and I can't wait to read your feedback and your opinions about this card. So feel free to leave me a comment sharing whatever thoughts you have about this card. And don't leave without giving this video a thumbs up and without subscribing to the channel. That way you'll be notified every time a new video is out. I will see you on the next video for the next card. Stay safe. Bye!